Welcome to Conversations in Between the Realms, a podcast where the mystical meets the everyday. Join Amanda Nova and Beth Renov each week as we dive into the profound journey of awakening, sharing our experiences, insights, and the lessons that guide us toward our divine purpose. Together, we awaken and guide our souls and others, exploring the magic of living in the 3D while staying connected to the higher realms, embracing the challenges, and celebrating the growth. You've been guided here for a reason. Trust in the journey and let the unfolding begin.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Conversations in Between the Realms. I'm Amanda Nova and I'm here as always with the lovely Beth Renov. And I'm here, I think that's where we are. I don't know if we are between timelines. We are definitely between the realms today. We have had some technological issues. And I was just saying to Beth that I wish she could use her electromancy for good instead of evil because she shut down our program. Well, yeah, I'm blaming it on you. She shut down our program multiple times today. So anyway, hi, we're here. How are you?
I'm good. I shut down. I had clients that it just went out, and then we had a meeting yesterday and mid-sentence just crashed out. It was just, I don't know what's going on. And Lauren was just in here, so maybe the energy was just really intense, and we
Oh
were
my God, it was
sucking it out.
Lauren. I forgot Lauren's evil electromancing ways. I realized she came in and then my computer shut down and Chinese letters were coming up and hieroglyphs. Damn you, Lauren.
She's just channeling some ancient codes into your computer.
I can't. And it was so funny because I sent you that screenshot and you were like, oh, that's not good. It's never good when there's random codes and stuff. And I'm like, no, this happens all the time. That's a
Oh,
random Thursday for me, any
right.
day. So yeah, but we were having a conversation yesterday about how things have been really crazy. They're always crazy, but I wanted to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking pretty deep at the resonance graph today because it was looking really, I would say pretty standard, right? When we see the large blasts of color, it'll be really
Mm-hmm.
white, right? Or there'll be different colors coming through. And I was looking at it and it was blue and kind of looking like not so much has been happening. There was a blackout yesterday, but I zoomed in and deep in it, there's almost this granular, grainy kind of pattern going on in the background that hasn't been there before, that I never noticed before happening. And it's not something that's been going on before. So it's almost like there's something happening in the background energetically, over the last few days, few week, this past week, let's
Yeah.
say, that's been going on. So there has been a lot of weird stuff going on, and we're almost it's almost like we're feeling it, it's underneath the surface
Mm-hmm.
something is happening energetically, and I feel like we're all feeling that strangeness.
Yeah. I mean, there's something going on. I feel like last week we couldn't even record because the energy was just off.
That was wackadoo.
Yeah,
We couldn't even have a conversation. I was
no.
like, "Wah!"
I was just I don't know that I can speak right now.
You know, Warren speaking, I came in, you were trying to talk to me. I was kind of on my phone, I was getting texts. I was yeah, it
Yeah.
was not a good day. Last Thursday was not a good day.
No, and it really lasted through the weekend. I was just so off. A lot was coming
Yeah.
up, but we did talk about how we had I had an epiphany. I feel like you had an
Mhm.
epiphany. There was
Yeah.
just this Saturday night, I was just laying there and everything just clicked together. And it
Mhm.
was about my eating at night and understanding why it happened on such a deep level. And it's all these years of therapy, all the energy work and spiritual work I've done, all the steps I've had to take in life, came to this culminating moment where I'm just
Yeah.
aha,
Yes.
that
Now it
makes
makes
sense.
sense. Well,
Yes.
it's so fascinating because you had this moment, and I want you to tell everybody what you realized, because I think it's so important for everyone to understand, because so many people are going through that. But what I think is
Yeah.
so interesting is like I hadn't been channeling for the past few weeks. Like I've really felt disconnected from that part, like that pathway. And when
Mm-hmm.
I did finally channel in, I channeled Joshun on over the weekend. You had this epiphany over the weekend, and what I channeled through was that what is happening right now is very physical. Like it
Mm-hmm.
is happening on a very physical level. And then you had this epiphany about your physical body.
Body. Yeah.
So like, okay, so like what did you realize
So,
physically?
I don't think I've shared it on here so much, but I had in college, like throughout, so basically from like, I want to say like 19 or 20 to 25, 26, I've had these instances of sexual abuse. And they all happened in the same way. It was while I was sleeping. There was no invitation, to come in. And I never thought of it as abuse. Like I just was like, oh, like that's what guys do,
Yeah.
and I had PTSD from it, but I didn't recognize it was PTSD. But I would have like outbursts, like angry outbursts. I was very hyper vigilant. It went into me not having a good relationship with my body in terms of letting people use it in a way. Like I thought sex was love. And so I would just give my body away so freely. And then there was also a moment where I just withdrew fully from that, and I started to eat. And I would start to eat really late at night. And like I had made the connection in therapy of like, oh, that's because, that's when it would happen. I would get really anxious and I get like this creeping in anxiety at like 9:30 every night. And then the only thing that would help me fall asleep is eating. And I would eat fast food. I would eat this really like disgusting food that I would never eat in daylight.
Right.
And so it was just this tug of war. And a lot of women have a hard time losing weight who have had sexual abuse because it's a way of protecting yourself and
Yeah.
making you kind of unwanted. There's energetic protection of like the layers, and
Mhm.
there's this protection of like if I'm not attractive, and not that I'm saying like bigger women can't be attractive, but for me and like psychologically the psyche is like if I can be as unattractive as I can be, like no one will hurt me because no one will want me, you
Right.
know so I would just eat every night. And like it would come in periods. Like I think like I would say like I could stop, especially when I met Lauren, like a lot of it stopped. I was really happy. But then like it would creep in again, like especially with the Me Too movement. That's when I understood what actually happened, because like, oh, that's sexual abuse. Like I had no idea.
Right. Like
Like
it wasn't cognizant for a long time.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then especially during COVID, like we had nothing to do but eat. And I think because both of us were like, we loved COVID at first. We were like, we don't have to go anywhere. We can be in sweats all day. But then when everybody else started going out, we never caught up. And we were stuck in this moldy, disgusting apartment. We were on each other's nerves. And like, I was just miserable. And I never could like consciously address like the connection. I could between like the eating, but it just became this horrible pattern. And like literally every night I had McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, and Wendy's outside my window in Jersey City.
Yeah.
So I would order every single night. I spent so much money. It was this horrible thing. And all I wanted to do was break it. Again, I broke it for like a few months. Then we moved, and it's so much better, but it's still happening. And then like Saturday night, I don't know what it was. And I've done EMDR. I've done like past life stuff. I've really tried like everything, and I'm like there's no magic bullet. But Saturday night I was laying there and I just had this thought of like, "Oh my god, like I was abused." And then like it came out and I was like like aggressive with people because I was just so angry. And then people who were my like loved ones, and it always came out with people who were closest to me. And they were like, you cannot treat me this way, and I was like, and I took that to heart because it didn't feel like me. This was different when I was yelling at Lauren and saying really weird things. Like that wasn't part of this. That was the past life mother like attached.
Right.
But I would have like angry outbursts when I felt triggered in any way from it. And like my mom said to me, and it was also part of the Bartonella, like those two went hand in hand.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, I don't know why you're like taking stuff out on me. I don't know why you're so angry and miserable. And so I was like, I'm not going to have anyone left in my life if I continue to do this. So then the abuse went inward and consciously inward. And it happened before, it just wasn't conscious. But I started to eat and abuse myself and treat myself in that way because how they made me feel, I was making myself feel. And that connection just came on Saturday, and I was just like, I don't want to treat myself. I don't deserve to be treated this way.
Right.
And the person treating me the worst is me,
Yeah.
and I just need to stop. Like I need to be kind to myself. I need to be gentle with myself, and like I need to stop. This is just not sustainable, and I just like don't deserve it. And I wrote down other things. I don't remember what it was, but it was just this like aha moment. And like from that day forward, I really like I haven't eaten at night. Like I just like kind of disappeared. Like last night, Lauren and I had a bad night. But like, besides that, that's like really good for me to not have like I was stopping eating at like 6:30. That's like unheard of for me. So it was just like everything came together and was like, psh, oh my God. Like it was there, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so interesting on so many different levels. Like, I think, first of all, I think so many people, this is going to resonate with so many people because I think this happens to so many people. And I think, a piece that you left out that resonates with me is like you also then got sick and then like you had this relationship with your body where like your body, you felt like you were like at war with your body because your body like
Right.
betrayed you, right? So like then
Okay.
you were
Yeah.
like having this like betrayal like with your body and like you know our relationships with our body like are so spiritual, like, and I don't think we realize that, like, our relationship with our body is so important and we treat our bodies so shitty because we take everything out on our bodies. So
Right.
like like that abuse turns inward, it's like the
Right.
punishment of everything. And the way that like dieting and exercise and everything is set up and has been set up for like the last like however many years is very much like a punishment mentality. It is an
Yeah.
abuse mentality. So it's like, okay, well, because I am eating, then I deserve to suffer. So then
Right.
I will abuse myself more. So like it's like then okay, well then I'll beat myself up more. So more restriction. And then like when the
Mm-hmm.
restriction, then when you don't like succeed on the restriction, then it's like, okay, great. You set yourself up to fail, then you fail. And then it like is like, okay, well, it did exactly what I thought I was going to do because I am such a failure. And now
Right.
I can abuse myself more. And it puts you in this cycle of abuse.
Right. I forgot. That's what I wrote down. Was like my body betrayed me, and I was really resentful, and I was just so mad at myself. Like I was mad at myself, like for I blame myself a lot, and this is like what I work on in therapy is for it happening and me allowing it to happen, even though it's like I didn't
Yeah.
allow, but like trauma doesn't always like make sense. Your core beliefs don't always make sense, but it's like I can't go up to every guy and tell them what I think. I don't know where they are. Like I haven't talked to them in
Yeah.
20 years. So it's like I'm going to blame myself, and I really felt like my body betrayed me. And to your point, like when I got sick, I felt like my body betrayed me. And it allowed me to stay in a victim mentality for so long and way longer than was necessary. Like, there's a point where it's like, okay, feel bad for yourself, but you have to move on. And it's so funny what you just said. Like, my weekly channeled message was like the drill sergeant that you have to get rid of. And literally
Yeah.
almost verbatim of what you said was in there. It was like, stop with the fear mongering. Stop like harming yourself and being negative and shaming. Shame is not motivating. It really
Right.
isn't.
Right.
It actually sets you back because you go into this cycle of like, and maybe for some people it feels like, oh, it does get me a little bit, but in the long run, if you were just more gentle and caring, like you would get farther. Maybe it's a little bit slower, but you wouldn't have the stop and go so much, you
Right.
know?
Right. Well, then I think what it does is like you almost set yourself up to do what you like. It's like you set yourself up to fail. And then when you fail, you're like, well, you did exactly what I thought you were going to do, which
Right.
is fail. And then it sets you up to then continue to do more abuse, which is like then have a stricter diet and then
Right.
do harder workouts. And like I lived in that cycle very hardcore for a while. And like
Mm-hmm.
the shame, it it isn't a motivator. Like I
No.
to get out of that like motivator, like it's really that you're punishing yourself. Well, then I'm just going to work out harder because
Right.
I deserve to be punished. I because I failed at eating this really strict diet that I said that isn't realistic.
Right.
And I failed at it. But you're setting yourself up to failure. And to your point, like if you just started out with compassion and were gentler with yourself and had these less rigid expectations, but the whole point is that you're sort of setting yourself up to fail.
Right. Well, it's like you're validating your core belief and it's a
Right.
perpetuating cycle,
Right.
and I was going to say something else but I don't remember. Oh, and on the flip side is like also when you fail, like for me, it was like, well, you might as well eat anyway. You can't do anything right, And then I would get up and I was like, well, I ate so bad. Now I really want to go exercise and I have to do extra today, So it was just
Right.
this like constant
It's a
cycle.
cycle. Yeah. And you can't get
Yeah.
off that like loop. And
Hamster
it
wheel. Yeah.
right. And it comes from like the trauma of it. And I was just having this conversation the other day with a girlfriend, and I just feel like this is actually not what we were planning to talk about, but I do feel like the physical body stuff has been coming up so much.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to another girlfriend about this and talking about like the self-talk a little bit, and like I was talking about how like I had when I was dating somebody who was very toxic and a personal trainer who was telling me that I was fat and like would say you run like a fat person, and I used to like say those things, and then they were like ingrained in me, and it was like
Right.
if you weren't fat you would be hot, like and stuff like that was
Right.
like in my mind. But then it becomes like, well, then if I eat and I put on weight, then I can protect myself from the rejection of somebody not
Right.
wanting to be with me. And so it like becomes all of these core beliefs, right? Like that you then start to like build
Mm-hmm.
on. And I do think that like letting that go, you actually release the weight, the energetic weight and the physical weight. Like it almost kind of like falls off of you in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because you said something else really interesting to me yesterday about being in a body that doesn't feel like your body,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
like feeling like you're in this like you
Fat
were like
suit.
fat suit. Yeah. And like I was thinking about like that like feeling of like that's like the feeling of disconnection from your physical body, and like this is not my
Yeah.
body, and that is actually having on you layers of energetic protection that you don't need anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you tell your body, like, it's okay to let go of these. Like, I don't need them anymore. And
Yeah.
like to like drop those things because you're wearing that suit. It's an armor that
Yeah.
you're wearing to
I
protect you.
think
You don't need it.
I think I need to do a session with you and get that off. So
I know,
I
I was
don't want
already
the
thinking
fat
that
suit
yesterday.
anymore. It's
I was,
hot, it's sweaty, it's heavy. I'm
yeah.
over it.
Yeah, but I just had a client recently who had been holding on to physical weight, struggling with their body weight, and it was coming from a past life. And it was that they like were holding on to the suffering and the pain from that past life. And I was like, you have to tell your body like it's okay to let that go because it's just
Right.
protecting you. That's all
Right.
that it's doing. And like I've been feeling lately really disconnected from my physical body. And whenever I feel disconnected, my body holds on to weight. It just
Right.
does. And I know it. And I like, and it's just like it's just a protection. But like I just think that that's so fascinating, and having that realization for you, like that moment, it's almost like that shift like puts you into a new timeline, into a new body, because you're like, I'm in a new body now.
Right.
Like you're in a new timeline, a new version of you now.
Yeah. No, and I am, and I felt it shift. It was like the weirdest thing, and I want to talk, and this is what we were talking about
Mhm.
yesterday, is like scammy people, and we've talked about this on a
Yeah.
whole podcast, so go back to that if you want to listen to it, but this like feeds in. Um, there are people in the spiritual industry, field, whatever you want to call it, who are icky, you know?
Yeah.
And like with this specific problem, I talked to someone and she's like, it's not your fault. But what kind of karma, like what could you have done to maybe like have had this happen to you so many times? What did you do to someone else? And it's just like, if anybody says that to you, it's disgusting, it's abusive. And that
Yeah.
also perpetuated me to keep this because it was saying basically, you deserve this in some way. And I don't know that she meant that, but it was very manipulative. It was really
Right.
disgusting. And I didn't realize like that was another layer of abuse. So it
Mhm.
can happen here too. I
Yeah.
don't want people to think that like, oh, I'm going to a spiritual like energy worker, they're going to only be light and good. There are people here doing really terrible things because they're not trained, they're not coming from a good place, and they're feeding into things that there's a hierarchy of people who are trickling down.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really, really valid. And I think like it's the use of the contracts, the vows, the past lives. It's like how it's used. I think it's like
Mhm.
if like when it comes up in a session, right? Like if I see it on somebody and we acknowledge it's there and you maybe like took, let's say you took a vow of suffering, okay?
Mhm.
The whole point of it coming up is like you
You don't
acknowledge it's
deserve it.
there. You
Right.
don't deserve to
Right.
be continuing to like it has nothing to do with deserving. There's really no point to it continuing to be in this lifetime. The
Exactly.
whole thing about it coming up is like we acknowledge that it's there. We look at why it's there. It's like the root of why it's there, and then you release it.
Mhm.
It's coming up to be released, to be broken, to like be looked at. There's no blame in it. There's
Mhm.
no shame in it. It's literally like look at it, break it, release it, whatever it is. If anybody is saying like you did bad things in a past life, therefore you are playing out karma and you need to be experiencing this and we need to clear that, that's a problem. That's a fucking
Yeah.
problem. There's
Yeah.
a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference, I think.
Yeah. And then I had to have sessions on that of like, oh my God, someone like took advantage of me again. It was almost like playing out a similar like
Yeah.
dynamic, and you like victims don't need to be shamed more, like they
Yeah.
do not. And, I even hate the word victim, but people are, I was a victim to something. I don't live in that state. So when I heard that, it didn't like but it didn't trigger consciously, but
Yeah.
subconsciously it put me into that again. And it's
Yeah.
just like some people don't know what they're doing, and it's really dangerous. This stuff needs to be handled with care, and there are people out there who just really aren't. And I really want people to use discernment with who you're working with, and trust your gut when you have a feeling with someone. I had
Yeah.
this feeling. I didn't ask her. She sought me out, which was so weird too. Like
Yeah.
there was just like everything about it was
I
odd.
think I know. Do I know who you're talking
Yeah, you do.
about? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm getting it in my head now. Okay. I mean, the thing is too, is like, and you and I have been talking about, there's a lot of people out there, like the bigger people too, who are using people's fear, like the fear
Hmm.
mongering, using people's sicknesses, using people's issues to take advantage of them and to like use that to make money. And like, I also feel like that's like an issue. It's
Yes.
like, what I want people to get out of a session is to feel good. Like I want your
Right.
energy to shift. I want your life to change. I want you to experience something. Like if we're looking at something traumatic that comes up, like, when the past life things come up, it's sometimes well, it's always traumatic because you wouldn't be clearing
Hmm.
something that's like a happy life. Like if it's not going to be like, well, and it was happily ever after. Bye.
Right.
Like it's always the traumatic. Like I always say this to people, like the happy lifetimes don't come up. right? Like they
Right.
don't, like the vacation lives, they don't come up. But the point of it is to look at it and to clear it, to understand more about yourself, to understand this is why I am the way that I am, not to make you feel bad about something. And I
Right.
feel like the people that use these things to victimize people so that they can then take advantage of those victims because they can say, okay, well, now you're a victim, but I can help you. Like, hello,
Right.
victim that I created, but oh, but I have, it's like the people who are like, oh, well, you have a curse on you, but if you buy 3 black
Right.
candles, I can lift that curse. It's like,
Ugh, yeah. And it's like what we keep saying, the icky feeling. Like it just feels icky. And it's like
yeah,
that is your cue to run in the other direction. And listen, there are big people out there that are like that too. It's just not everybody because they have a big following or have a big name are genuine or
yeah,
authentic. And there's a lot of taking advantage of. I think that's there's so many shifts going on, like globally and in this 3D world, and probably cosmically as well, of just like an ick
yeah,
factor,
yeah,
and it's really superficial. It's
yeah,
like the filter and the outer filter that people see you through, and it's almost like sucking people in. And on one hand, you have people who want to victimize you because being oppressed or being a victim of something is currency right now, right?
mhm,
So it's like, oh, well, there are people who are going to take advantage and make money off of you. And on the flip side, there is this like moral order that we have to be in of like being justice warriors, social justice warriors, and
yeah.
they go
If
hand
you
in
have to
hand.
have, if you have a following, you have to be a
Exactly.
justice warrior. And I feel very frustrated by that because
Yeah.
not every single person with a platform has something to say, but people believe that if you have a platform, you should be saying something.
And it goes back into the shame thing. It's like you're a bad person if you don't. And then
Right.
they could be making money off of you that way. Come with me so we can work on your shame so that you can be this activist. You know what? If you don't know what you're talking about, you
You
should
shouldn't
not
be
be
talking.
speaking about it.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
And they make everybody, and like, I also feel like everybody is here to help in their
Oh,
own way
exactly.
and let people help in their own way. And I've always stuck pretty true to that on my platform. Like, I am somebody who has a large platform.
Mm-hmm.
I have never taken it to go political. I've never taken, and I'm sure that there are people out there who have an issue with that and have had an
Mm-hmm.
issue throughout the years that I've had a large platform, and there have been issues that have come up. I just never talk about things that I'm not educated on, and I'm not
Yeah.
educated on these things. I help in my own way. I help the way that I can help. I show up to help with people's nervous systems while they're going through these things. While COVID was going on, I tried to help people with their immune system. Like, I can only help as I know,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And like I understand that. I think on the way flip side of this though, I think there is a call to action for people sharing their gifts. And I think that all of this that we're talking about also makes it scary for people who are trying to share their gifts
Yeah.
because then they feel like they shouldn't be asking for money. Like, there's a flip side to this where it becomes scary for people to try to then start their own businesses and share their gifts and try to help people because they
Right.
also feel like they are going to be attacked for trying to make money with their gifts. There's
Right.
like that side of things too.
And it's also probably discouraging for people to want to go out there when they feel like they have the responsibility to speak out on everything when it has nothing to do with what they're doing,
Right.
like,
Right.
and
Right.
like, take for example, like what we do. I think it helps people who maybe are victims of whatever is going on in the
Right.
world. And you also don't know what someone's going through. And I literally had this conversation with my therapist. I was like, the Epstein files, I don't want to see it anymore. I
Yeah.
feel for those people, but I'm a victim of sexual abuse. It actually triggers
Triggers
me.
you.
It
Yeah.
puts, it makes me, I'm numb about it. And it makes me upset that I'm numb, but everywhere I turn, it's being talked about. I can't speak on it because I'm so close to something like it. I'm not close to sex trafficking, but I'm close to being abused in a way that was really violating, and you
Right.
don't know what someone's going through, and to shame them for not speaking up, you don't know what someone's going through.
Right.
And it's like, it doesn't make you a good person because you say something. Yes,
Right.
it's your actions, it's your everyday actions. And if you can speak out on something, wonderful, but let's stop pressuring people
Right.
to speak on things they just either aren't comfortable, aren't educated,
Right.
or just like, it's okay not to want to,
Right. Well,
like,
right. And I also have like, even looking at like people who are just like actors and actresses or comedians, like
ugh,
I think that they do a job in the world of bringing laughter and comedy to the
yes,
world. I think that is really helpful and I think it's a gift. And I think that that needs to just be looked at. Those people don't have to talk about it. They have to, like they don't want to. Like I
no,
just feel like we put so much pressure on people and there's also just like this element of like because we've created a world where we allow people to comment on everything, because that's what we've done. We've created a comment section on every
right.
single thing. Now we've allowed people to now think that they have to have an opinion on every single thing. And I just think it's too much. Like it's
Yeah.
just too much. Like it's too much opinion. It's too much.
And
Like
that's
it's too much.
exactly what it is. It's opinion. And it dilutes expertise. It
Mhm.
dilutes like credibility of people who actually do know what they're talking about, because you
Yeah.
saw it in a meme. You saw it in a carousel
Right.
on Instagram. It's like, no, that does not make you an expert or know the full story.
Right.
So, and it's actually very damaging for you to speak out when you don't know. Or you're
Right.
not comfortable. It could be damaging internally. And I'm
Right.
not saying don't speak out. If you're passionate, you feel you need to talk about something, that's free will. But by pressuring people, you take that away, and then we create this shame loop. And that's really, like, I think what this like entire episode is about, is the way that shame really
Right.
drains all your energy. It's the opposite of spiritual. And people
Right.
who are doing that in this field, they're they're not meant to be here, and they
Right.
are taking away from what it authentically is.
Right. And it is like it is the more that people are out there, it is a dilution. And there also is this expectation because there is so much out there. Like I just went through this recently a couple weeks ago, like where like when I say like the opposite of it, like it's like I shared something and then I like mentioned like a resource that I had, somebody commented and they were like, oh, like it's all about the money. And I was like, no, 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 no. The problem also with all of this is because there are so many non-experts that then also we want stuff for free from experts and we don't want to pay
Right.
for anything anymore either. And then
Right.
we want to bash people who are educated who like
Right.
what if I have a resource, am I not supposed to provide and am I not supposed to receive money? Do I not live in a house where I have to pay a mortgage? Like it's like
Right.
it's just insane. And I like totally and you know how I am. Like that stuff used to like I
Right.
would cry for days about that. Like and I would be like, I should never be asking for another
Right.
dollar again. Instead I was like, no, 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 no. Like why why are we expecting everything for free? Why are we putting our pain like why are we shaming women who are trying to make money off of the like it's the shame is being thrown at people who want to make money. It's being thrown at people who don't have like it's just being thrown all around everywhere.
Well, this just
You
came
can't
in,
do and you can't not do. That's the problem.
because the moral order and the moral what is it called? The moral script is money is bad. Money is inherently bad,
Right.
right? And it's like a global relationship with money, because people like Epstein were so wealthy, right? And they only do bad. And that's where like the pushing for social activism, everything has to be activism. They're literally teaching activism in elementary school. I'm sorry, that should not be in education. How about we teach people how to read and do math, which we're so behind on, And it's just like, stop, like we have to heal all these different relationships and take shame out of the picture. We are operating from a place of shame in so many areas, exactly like you said. It's like, okay, we want to speak out for women, but we're shaming women for making money.
Right. Right. Well, it was so funny because I watched a clip today, earlier this morning, of Hilary Duff, who I've always really liked,
I
like grew
love,
up watching, love her. She's a mom, like really love her. And I was watching a clip of her on Call Her Daddy, and I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but I looked at the comments underneath, and people were like, she's so careful and so like calculated about the way that she speaks, and look how careful she is about what she says and what she doesn't say. And I was like,
she has
why
to.
wouldn't she be?
Right.
She has to be so careful because she says one wrong thing and you guys will throw her to the fucking wolves. Like,
Yep.
all it takes is a celebrity saying one wrong thing on a podcast like that, and they'll be canceled.
Yeah.
And then the cry for cancellation will be so loud. So of course, but then on the other side of it, then it's like, well, she's not being vulnerable. She's being so calculated. Well, what the fuck do you want from her? What
Right.
do you want? Because she can't speak freely. How can
Right.
she speak freely? And it's just like, I just can't. You can't win right now. Like, you just can't. Can't
No.
say anything. And it's a really crazy time to be alive. There's this millennial renaissance happening, and they're just talking about, like, all the things that we did when we were younger and all this stuff. And it's like, I just think, like, over and over again, like, thank God those things were not captured. Like, thank
Oh my
God
God.
that they were not on film.
Yeah.
Thank God a girlfriend of mine came over this weekend and was talking to my parents and was like, thank God our parents didn't have Ring cameras. Thank God we didn't have phone cameras. Like,
Oh my God. I'm so actually grateful for that. And it takes away from you being able to be a kid, being a young adult, and it sucks.
yeah,
Everything's documented. And why do you think people have to be careful?
yeah,
It's because everything is weaponized. And shame is the weapon, and it's really, we have to step back from that. And I think that's why our work is so important. But again, you have to be careful who you work with. Like,
yeah,
and it's not to shame those people, it's saying they're operating from a place of shame. They are weaponizing shame as well. And unfortunately, there is no field or corner that's like exempt from it. Like,
right,
there's no safe space that isn't infected with it.
right, right. I think, the work that we do and how we contribute, I think, is to help people work through the
Hmm.
shame that they feel, the shame that is thrown on them, the shame that they're experiencing. I think it's to help your intuition to be able to decipher, to
Hmm.
help you work on your own intuition so that you can see these people and decide for yourself. Like,
Right.
that's really like I'm very big on this. Like, I am not a healer. I don't like to be called a healer. I'm not a guru. I don't want to be called, like, bleh, bleh.
Hmm.
If somebody says that they're a healer, if they're good, like, those are the red flags right there.
Right.
We're helping you to be able to decipher these things for yourself. That is the help that we're offering to
Right.
people, to be able to feel those things and see those
Right.
things and be able to know, like, this is who I should be working with because this is what feels good and this is where it feels good in my body. That's how I
Right.
understand those things, and how to regulate your nervous system so that you can be
Hmm.
in your body, so that when something is a yes and when something's a no.
Right. Because shame is literally blocking your ability to decide things for yourself, and like, basically, I feel like we're now in a place where we're telling people what to think, not how to think, right? And how to feel. And I think that's what we help people get back in their body, get back into their path and their discernment, and thinking, okay, this is what everybody might be doing.
All right, sorry.
That's
I
okay.
couldn't hear you and I was like, shoot, I don't know if he probably was listening to you in the car. So,
Well, basically, just what I was saying is, like, the shame becomes this block to understanding how we think and how we feel. And I think that's where we come in, is to like get rid of those blocks, because you need to be able, like, you're thinking, okay, yeah, a lot of people are thinking this way, acting this way. Um, like are staying in line. And it's
Mhm.
okay to step out of line, and it's okay to think something for yourself, even if everybody else doesn't have that feeling. But once, and I think that's the shame's purpose, is to keep everybody in line in order. And it's so interesting because I'm reading 1984 by George Orwell, and it's so that, and it's really funny with what's going on right now is that it feels very eerily familiar. Is we all, if you don't think this way, act this way, then there's something wrong with you and you need to be
Mhm.
shamed and canceled. That's like
Yeah,
what cancel culture is. And I think where we come in is like, no, no, no. Like, you have the
you're fine.
shame. Yeah, you're fine. You're good. You got to like step away from that and
Yeah,
decide what you feel. And if you feel about it the same way, that's fine. But think
right,
for yourself,
right. Yeah, I think that's really. I love that that's what you're reading. That you're reading George Orwell, and I'm reading a story about a smut, smut story, a spicy story about pirate fae and princesses that
Oh,
aren't
you keep it
insane.
light. I'm like, let's go as heavy as possible.
Well, it's so funny because they're actually like it's so dark and there's all these trigger warnings before all these books because there's like torture and like assault. There's like all these dark themes. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a freak a leak. There's a lot of
Maybe.
like really dark things happening, but I'm just
Yeah.
like that's not what I see. I see the pirate king and I'm like, scars all over his body from torture.
You're like, I love
Okay.
that. I love that in a pirate.
I love that in a pirate fae.
Well, I balance it out with Parks and Rec. So I feel
Yeah.
like I have like the funny and like calm down kind of thing. But I don't know. I just like everybody was talking about it. I don't know why I never read it. We never had to read it in school, and
I never read it either.
yeah, it's very interesting. And
Yeah.
the parallels of what's going on is a bit eerie, but it also is like, oh, okay, someone predicted this basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're not here to shame you. Shame is not the
No.
name of our game, but
No.
we're here to help you work through that and work through what's happening in the world and help you step away from it and help you, kind of get in tune with your inner self and your inner knowing and that's really
Hmm.
what all of this is about. So, if you want to work with us, you know where to find us and we're happy to help you however we can and we promise not to abuse you or victimize you or take advantage of you. We are here to help as much as
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah. We want to like divert from that path. So, and get you on yours, like your authentic one. So, yes, we will talk to you next episode. Have a great one.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.